Now, radiation, I'm not too familiar with that. Some of the side effects I've heard and known, sickness. There's damage to permanent damage to the areas around where the radiation may not get the cancer cell, but hit the friendly cells. I'm more familiar with chemotherapy because that's what I went through. With chemotherapy, I had hair loss. My taste buds changed. I had everything tasted like metal for a long time. My digestive system was screwed up. Developed IBS. So if I'm not careful with what I eat, even 10 years later, I'll pay for it. One of the things that a lot of people hear about is a thing called chemo brain. It doesn't necessarily make you stupid, but it slows down your processing ability. I remember, my job, I'm a claims adjuster, so I'm always drawing things out on a computer, routes and diagrams. And I remember shortly after chemo finished, about 6 months down the road, I was in a room, and I have my laser tape measure, and I'm trying to draw this room on my piece of paper and then measure it, and I could not take what I was seeing visually and put it on the paper. It took me 15 minutes to draw a room that was basically a rectangle with a little offset on it. Things like my checkbook, I couldn't balance my checkbook. 2 + 2 = I have no idea. And these things would come and go. 10 years out, I still once in a while have an episode where my brain just stops. I know what I'm saying and what's going on, but my mouth just says, not today. And that damage is, it lessens over time, but it's still there. Hormonally, your chemotherapy can damage or upset your reproductive systems, both male and female, like I said, your digestive systems. I went through a hormone. I can't talk. That's not chemotherapy though. But I went through hormonal therapy. I went through hormonal failure during chemotherapy, and basically I stopped producing testosterone, had hot flashes. I went through like an accelerated male menopause, became emotional, cried, started bawling my eyes out for no reason. Sweat to death. My testosterone production pretty much stopped. Lost all interest in sex, which at first was kind of cool because, hey, I'm not thinking about sex. And then, 6 months later, it's like, I'm still not thinking about sex. Those things, those are the chemical changes. Chemotherapy is a chemical assault on your body, and it does affect you, and some of it can be permanent. And then the last thing, with hormonal therapy, like I said, tamoxifen just accelerated some of the damage that chemotherapy went. I only stayed on tamoxifen for 1 year. It's a 5-year drug, and I started gaining weight, and the hormonal issues escalated to the point to where about a year into my treatment, I told my doctor I couldn't take it anymore, and they told me that I was going to die because without tamoxifen, which suppressed estrogen production in my body, the cancer was going to spread if it was there. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be dead anyways at 700 pounds, because I keep gaining weight and have a heart attack. So, quality of life becomes important. And the major thing that I tell people, when I talk to others who are going through the horror story that we call cancer, you're your own best doctor in a sense that the more you know, the more you educate yourself, the better off you are. Doctors are there to help you and treat you, but they're people. They're subject to a bad day. The kids didn't get up in time for school. The hospital's giving them a hard time about their residency program or what have you. And you gotta be on your toes, and you gotta ask questions and do some research. Take what your doctor says and go look and see what it's about. And you got to use your head too, because there's a lot of quirky bullshit that's out on the internet. You got to use reason. Check your sources. Verify that you're not, reading some FEMA death camp trailer website, and that's telling you not to go through cancer treatment because you're going to end up in a FEMA death camp. I make fun of that, but that's if you're your own advocate and you understand what you're doing, and you're involved in your treatment rather than denying that you got cancer or denying that you're facing, potential death, or, it's scary. But once you're involved in it, then it makes a huge difference in your treatment. I often tell people that cancer is the thing that goes bump in the night.